Well, Hillary, are you ready to start episode 2?
Oh, I am ready. I'm so excited.
Great. What's got you excited?
Did you know that our last episode got like 84 views in a couple of days? We are practically viral.
Well, I'm not sure that's the definition of viral, but I'll take it. Yeah. Are you ready to start talking about how not to be life stupid?
Oh, I was born stupid. I was born ready. Let's do it. Episode 2 of the David and Hillary Show, and we are practically viral.
Well, I would say we're off to a good start.
Yeah.
And by the way, we're all born a little stupid, so that was a pretty good opener.
Yeah, I can't believe you made me say that joke. Whatever. So actually, can we talk about the S word?
The S word, yeah, sure.
Yeah. So I forgot when I used to teach preschool, if I would ever use the word stupid, I would just usually get somebody in the classroom that would say, we can't say the S word, Miss Hillary. And I was like, the S word? Like, you said stupid. I was like, oh, well, we're not going to call each other stupid, but some things
Right.
are stupid.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
maybe that's why I'm not a preschool teacher anymore. I kept using the S word, apparently.
You were a great preschool teacher. Yeah, it's not like they kicked you out. That was not so much the thing in the early 80s. People called each other stupid all the time. So
Yeah. And I don't agree with that, but some things are stupid.
some things are stupid. Well, at the end of episode 1, I was talking about my boss calling me stupid. He said I was book smart and life stupid. So I kind of wanted to circle back and tell a little bit more about that story. So Evansville, Indiana, 1979, Stocks hardware store, small neighborhood hardware store was my first job. And I learned so much. It was great. I learned how to make keys. I learned how to repair windows and screens and just all the stuff. Like, I didn't do any projects, but I learned about all the plumbing parts, 1.25 inch in the bathroom, 1.5 inch in the kitchen, electrical stuff. And it was nice. All the nails and the screws and all the different kinds of fasteners and all the things. There was a small store, but it was crammed full, and there were lots and lots of things to learn. And so I was learning everything I could. I thought I was doing a pretty good job. And one day, I don't know, we were talking about something, and the manager, nobody was in the store, and he knew I did well in school, and he told me I was book smart, life stupid. And I really didn't even know what that meant, which is kind of illustrated the point, I guess. But I just thought, up until this point in my life, I'd been told, do well in school, pay attention, take notes, do well on the tests, get good grades, and you're going to do great in life. And now he's telling me, you're great at school and you kind of suck at life. And I was like, that doesn't track. That's not what anybody else is telling me. And not even really sure what to do with this information. But it did set me on a quest to figure out what he meant by that and how not to be life stupid, because I figured that was probably an important thing to figure out.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it really is. Before we kind of dive into that, can we share the picture that we took this week?
Sure.
So this is our fun moment from Franklin. And I guess it was, I don't know, one day last week we were driving around and we came up on a vehicle that was covered in Post-it notes. From a distance, you couldn't really tell exactly what was happening. But as we got closer and closer, I was like, okay,
Yeah.
this car is covered with Post-it notes. And not only that, they were, in that design, they've got the happy face. There were safety cones all over the top of it.
Yeah.
And I just thought, what is going on? And then as we got closer, you could tell that one of the Post-it notes had a little, had some writing on it, if you can show that picture. And it says, this was a lot of sticky notes, LOL. Recycle if you can. And I thought,
Yeah.
okay, this is so so sweet. And I was going to give this person the responsible prankster award. I don't like pranks. I don't like if people do things to actually hurt each other, of course. But
Right.
this was pretty harmless and polite and responsible. So yeah, so the award of the week goes to the responsible prankster. And we actually we saw that the girl coming towards us.
Yeah, we stopped and took pictures, and we kind of pulled right up beside it. And it was a young, late teens, early 20s, probably, walking up to the car. And I put my window down, and she just looked kind of sheepish or whatever. And I thought maybe she was embarrassed. I said, "Is this your car?" And she said, "No, I'm actually the one who did it. It's my friend's car."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, well, tell us the story about this." And I guess it was kind of a back and forth prank that they have where they really do stuff like this to each other. Harmless, but yeah, kind of public.
Yeah. Yeah, I think she was just waiting around to get the full reaction. Do you
Yeah.
think she was going to, she must have known it would be her. Like if they do this back and forth, I thought maybe she was going to pretend she didn't know who did it. But
Oh, well,
yeah, we don't know.
I'm guessing the girl who owned the car probably knew who did it when she saw it.
Yeah.
Based on what the other girl told us.
That's true. That's true.
But I love the part about recycle if you can. I didn't have the heart to tell her that no car is that clean.
Yeah.
When she pulls those off, they're all going to have dirt stuck to the back of them. I don't
Yeah.
know if they'll be able to recycle them or not, but
Well, yeah, she had a lot of fun, and I'm sure it was worth it.
well,
But thank you for letting me show the picture.
yeah, of course. Well, so back to Life Stupid. Really, we kind of defined it, I guess. But what I'd like to do is mostly talk about ways to be life smart, kind of put a positive spin on it. And I feel like there are kind of two basic categories of ways to be life smart. And the first one is understanding how things work in the real world. Mm-hmm. And so depending on how you were raised or how old you are, maybe you kind of feel like, I got a pretty good grasp on that. But it's really too many subcategories of this to go into in one podcast. I mean, it could be a million things, but
There's so many. There's so
yeah.
many ways.
well, I just wanted to give a couple examples of kind of what I'm talking about. So one thing is just the fact that everything takes maintenance. So you get your first car, but nobody tells you how to take care of it. Maybe you don't know. Unless you got an electric car, which there are more of those now, but still not that many. I mean, a car that runs on gasoline or diesel, you got to change the oil. If you don't change the oil, it's going to severely shorten the lifespan of your car. And before it dies, it's probably going to have more expensive problems that you wouldn't have had if you had changed the oil. You can't just drive it forever without ever putting new tires on it. Tires wear out and then they get dangerously slick. You could lose traction in the rain. You can have a blowout, stuff like that. You got to change the brakes every so often. So everything takes maintenance. Your heat and air at your house, excuse me, you got to change the air filter occasionally. You probably need to pay somebody to come out periodically and just kind of give it a once over, or maybe clean the coils in your air conditioner or whatever. Depends on what kind of system you have, but everything takes maintenance. So you want to talk about finances?
Well, I was hoping you were going to still talk about the cleaning.
Oh, I skipped over that. So just your house. I mean, everything in your house needs to be maintained. Nobody wants to live in a pigsty. So a lot of people don't like to clean, but every so often you got to dust, vacuum, do the dishes, do the laundry. You can't just keep wearing the same clothes and never ever wash them. That's gross. Everybody knows that. But I think sometimes, depending on how you're raised, you leave home and then you're like, at what point do my clothes get cleaned? Which
Yeah.
sounds really dumb, but it's just,
Yeah.
maybe you that's not that hard to figure out. But
And a lot of these things you might have learned from home, right? Depending on the way your house was run.
I'm just saying it might be like very eye-opening when you get out there. You're not prepared for it.
Right. Well, I have a very funny story about this actually, because at our house, I felt like we cleaned a lot. And
You're talking about when you were growing up.
yeah, when I was growing up. And it was, nothing for mom to just say, hey, you got a couple minutes, go in the bathroom, go clean the sinks and toilets. And, it wasn't that hard. It was just she just liked to have a clean house. So Hillary is in middle school, and I'm in the home ec class, and the teacher has a little, like, we're doing this little questionnaire, and she's trying to teach us in school how often we would clean our house.
Okay.
And I'm thinking, well, we have a really clean house, so I'm probably going to nail this.
Yep.
So she says on the question, it says, how often do you clean your toilet? And the answers, the choices were once a week, once a month, occasionally. And I sat there and I thought, well, we clean it way more than once a week. We definitely don't clean it just once a month.
Right.
So I guess occasionally, that's the answer? I just didn't know how to answer it. And so I did. And I'll just never forget, she called me out on that, and she made a big deal to the class about how we would definitely clean our toilet at least once a week and not occasionally. And I'm thinking, it meant more than once a week. So now to this day, I'm sure she still thinks of me and my dirty toilet. And
Probably not.
I was embarrassed. It's like,
Yeah.
we kept a clean house.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway.
So you knew how to keep the clean house. You just didn't know what the definitions of the words meant.
Yeah, apparently. Or she wrote a really bad question.
Yeah.
I'm going with that one.
Yeah. Probably could have been more specific.
Yeah. But like you said, finances, that's huge. Like there could be a whole podcast on just finances, but maybe you just need to kind of recognize about yourself. Am I kind of naturally good at finances, or am I one of those people that is not naturally that good at finances? And if you're single, you need to figure that out. If you're married, probably one of you is naturally better. The other one is probably naturally not as great. That's why you got married.
Yeah.
So you could fight about money. And no, that's
much.
actually another podcast also. But you've got to, whether you're good at it naturally or not, you got to figure it out.
Yeah.
And you've got to
That's right.
either learn it or find somebody that can show you how to do it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. That's good. Another category in terms of being life smart and kind of understanding how things in the real world work is understanding personal character and the fact that not everyone in your life is working in your best interest.
yeah.
That's one that sometimes takes people a while to figure out. Not everyone is honest. Not everyone is trustworthy or competent. This can include all kinds of people: salespeople, politicians, even teachers, influencers that you follow, even your family and friends. Sometimes people just aren't honest, or they're not competent. Some people want to be on your team, and they're like, I want to give you good advice, but they don't know how to give good advice.
Right. They're not being deceitful. They're just not
They may not be life
qualified.
Yeah, I mean, a salesperson might mislead you on purpose, which is unfortunate, but it happens. And not all salespeople are like that. But, you may have a close friend or family member who's trying to help you out, but they don't really know what they're talking about. And it might take you a while to figure that out. And no one knows everything about everything, but to have a good basic knowledge of things in life that are important for your security and your day-to-day functionality, I mean, that's important. And we can all work to become more life smart. It's not something that happens overnight. We can all keep working on it.
Mm-hmm.
So with regards to people not necessarily being trustworthy, it's easy to think, well, I choose to see the best in people. And I think that's godly or moral or good. And I believe it's pleasing to God to believe the best in people and to give them the benefit of the doubt. So I can see how that might sound correct. But if the people who don't have your best interests at heart are giving you bad advice or taking advantage of you, or maybe they do have your best interests at heart, but they're just not good at it, as we mentioned earlier, taking everything those people say at face value is not really life smart, and it's also not noble. The Bible encourages us to be wise and discerning, so doing the opposite of that is not noble. I think that's just a really important thing to understand, and we'll dig into that a little bit more. But now we're up to the second way to be life smart. The first one again was understanding how things work in the real world, and the second one is learning to discern the difference between the truth and a lie, or even between the truth and a near truth. And so discernment is super important. Everyone might not know the definition of that. So, I got out our trusty World Book Encyclopedia Dictionary from 1963, and I looked up discernment, and it says
classic.
It's a classic. It is. I love that one. It says keenness in perceiving and understanding, good judgment, or shrewdness. And so shrewdness is not a word that we use a lot these days. So I looked that up. I pretty much knew what it meant, but I wanted to share that. It said in the dictionary, shrewd is having a sharp mind, being clever. And I really like the example sentence. It's from a novel that I'm not familiar with, but it was written by James Froude. And the quote is, "He was too shrewd to go along with them upon a road which could lead only to their overthrow."
Okay, that's pretty cool.
It's a great sentence.
Yeah. So can you say that again?
He was too shrewd to go along with them upon a road which could lead only to their overthrow.
Okay, so I think the challenge for the week is everybody's got to find a way to use that sentence in their week, right? Oh, excuse me,
Yeah.
no, sir, I cannot follow you to the eggs at the back of Publix because I am too shrewd to go along with you upon a road which could lead only to my overthrow. Actually, I would go back to the eggs because there are no eggs. So if they're going to lead me back there, I'm going.
Well, that's probably true.
I am not shrewd enough to not go.
That's I like that.
Thanks.
If you want to follow that assignment, you can put it in the comments, or you
That's
can
right.
email us at davidandhillaryshow@gmail.com. Hillary has 2 L's, and otherwise it's all lowercase and just the way it sounds. davidandhillaryshow@gmail.com. We welcome your emails and your comments.
Yes. Let us know what road you were too shrewd to go upon.
That's right. So discernment, keenness in perceiving and understanding, good judgment, and shrewdness. Also looked up wisdom just to see how the dictionary would define it. And it says knowledge and good judgment based on experience. So I thought that was really good because, wisdom, we often think of older folks having wisdom.
Right.
Solomon in the Bible was said to have been the wisest man who ever lived. He prayed and asked God for wisdom, and he got it. And so wisdom is not generally something you associate with really young people. It's something you gain from experience. But you can be on a quest your whole life to become more wise and to gain more wisdom. And so I think that's a worthy goal. I also think sometimes it's good when you're trying to fully understand definitions of something, then you can look at the opposites. So what I picked as opposites for discernment and wisdom are, gullible and naive.
Okay.
My favorite thing I learned about gullible is it can be spelled 2 ways and they're equally permissible.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you just think I'm gullible enough to believe that. How do I know if you're telling the truth?
Well, you can look it up since we own the same dictionary, but...
And actually, I'm pretty sure I don't know how to spell either one of those. But is that true?
Well,
You can spell it 2 ways?
Yeah. I was looking for a preferred spelling, and they kind of did this whole back and forth thing. It was in there both ways, and it didn't really... The first one was the alphabetically first one,
Okay.
and it seemed like they were both equally fine. So, but it's GULLIBLE or ABLE.
Okay.
So,
I mean, I think I would always go with IBLE.
yeah.
But now that I know that I can, I'm going to switch it up.
I mean, just go crazy and
Yeah.
spell it either way.
Yeah. Who knows what my phone will think I'm printing, but yeah.
Well, the actual definition in the 1963 dictionary is easily deceived or cheated.
Did you almost say Cheetos?
I almost said cheatable.
Okay.
If you're gullible, you're cheatable. So, yeah, easily deceived or cheated. And the definition of naive is simple in nature, like a child, or not sophisticated. And I've always kind of used a definition of like not understanding deeper issues or not perceiving nuances. That's naive.
Yeah.
So, but simple in nature and like a child. So we're gonna revisit that as well. But I like those definitions.
Well, and before we kind of go on with that, did I mention to you that we have movie passes?
Yeah,
We
Yeah,
do actually.
we do.
We have movie passes.
Everybody who knows us well knows that.
I like to make sure. So last week, the movie that we saw, Brave the Dark,
Yeah,
I was just thinking as we were talking about this and being life smart or life stupid, I thought, you know what, there's actually another category. And unfortunately, it's street smart, which, I mean, I don't know exactly why I'm saying unfortunately, except that usually if you're street smart, it's because your life has been very hard.
Yeah.
And in the movie Brave the Dark, the main character, Nate, has had a really hard life. I don't want to give a lot of things away in case people want to go see the movie.
yeah, good movie.
Very good movie. In his life, he has been in an orphanage. He has gone to foster care. And now he's basically living out of his car. And he is actually pretty street smart because he is caring for himself. He's trying to find ways to get food. He's somehow in school. He finds a way to join the track team so he can get showers. Like
He's a survivor.
he's a survivor. He's street smart.
Yeah.
But in the movie, you kind of realize, and as we were talking about this topic, I thought part of the movie is his teacher, Mr. Dean, stepping in to help him become life smart.
Yeah.
Which isn't that what we need? We need somebody with wisdom, somebody with experience to step in and say, you know, the way that you're doing things right now isn't going to get you where you want to go.
Great.
And so I thought that was so interesting that movie kind of was an example of the topic that we have been going over. Thought it was really, really important. So.
Yeah. Well, being street smart without being life smart or just straight up being life stupid. I mean, we've all been there at some point or another where we weren't as with it as would have been to our best benefit to be. And so,
Right.
you know, it's okay. If you're thinking this is me or this is me in a certain part of my life or it has been me, I mean, that's fine. We've all been there. That's why we're talking about it. But learning how to be more discerning is really important. Becoming more wise, more discerning, kind of automatically makes you less naive and less gullible. It's kind of a 2-for-1 deal. And so that's a quest I think we should all be on. And if you're still thinking that trusting everyone and believing the best about them is the best way to go, no matter who they are, or, you know, that somehow is honorable, then I would like for you to listen to what Paul said to the Christians in Corinth. It's recorded in the Bible in 1 Corinthians 13:11. He said, "When I was a child, I talked like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I became a man, I put childish ways behind me." And so, you know, the definition of naive was to be simple in nature, like a child. But Paul's saying when you become an adult, you shouldn't act like a child anymore. And so that led me to the statement, naivete, which is the act of being naive. Naivete is not a virtue, at least not among adults. If
Right.
you're a child and you act like a child, that's fine. But once you become an adult, I like to say, it's time for the 18-plussers to act like adults. I say that a lot when I'm observing the world right now. But it's important to know that when you become an adult, you should put childish ways behind you. And so I've run into some people in my life that one person, a friend of mine on Facebook a few months ago, was upset because something had been exposed in our society as a lie. And they posted, "I tell the truth. I expect everyone else to tell the truth. I'm kind of blown away that this person lied about this." And I thought, you know, you're an adult. You need to know that sometimes people lie. I mean, you might be surprised at who does it or in what ways, but you shouldn't be surprised that some people lie. That's naive in a way that you shouldn't be at this point in your life, and naivete is not a virtue.
Well, and Jesus did say that that we should receive the kingdom of God like a little child.
Yeah.
But most scholars believe that he meant that we're to have faith as a child, to accept the things of God that we know are from him because he is trustworthy. So I think that, when people think, well, I need to be like a child, that there is some truth to that. You need to have faith like a child, but that's faith in him because he is trustworthy.
Well, God is perfect. He never lies. We know that he's trustworthy.
Mm-hmm.
And so to have childlike faith regarding the things of God is good. That is a virtue.
Mm-hmm.
Having childlike faith toward someone who's got a track record of not doing things in your best interest is naive.
Right.
And that's not good. So, another verse I really like, Jesus said to his disciples in Matthew 10:16, I'm sending you out like sheep among wolves. Therefore, be as shrewd as snakes and as innocent as doves. So a couple things there. Jesus is telling us that there are wolves out there, that we're sheep and there are wolves. Wolves destroy sheep. That's what they do. So just know that that's the real world. And we're not supposed to be naive, but he said, be as shrewd as snakes. So
Love
there's
that
that
he
word.
worked that word in there.
Yeah,
Nice.
there's the word shrewd again. So you got to know what's up.
Yeah, in 1 Thessalonians 5:21, Paul told the church in Thessalonica, test everything.
Yep.
Hold on to the good. And, things you need to test. You need to try to find out, is this good? Or should I get rid of it?
Yeah, that's really true. So I did some more research in the Bible, and I was looking for passages on wisdom. I really like this one. I believe Solomon wrote this in Proverbs 4:7. He said, wisdom is supreme. Therefore, get wisdom. Though it costs you all you have, get understanding. So he's obviously emphasizing the importance of wisdom. I like to think of Solomon being alive today and having his own podcast and using current language and just looking into the camera and saying, hey, man, wisdom, get you some of that. I've always liked that. Get you some of that. But anyway, that's Solomon telling you, hey, wisdom. It says,
Yeah.
Wisdom is supreme. Therefore, get wisdom.
Though it costs you all you have. Yeah. The other verse about wisdom that I really love is in James. And it says, if any of you lacks wisdom, he should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to him. And
Yeah.
I just have loved that for so many years, because who doesn't need wisdom?
Right.
I mean, we all need it. And unfortunately, sometimes you ask people for things and let's just face it, they like to make you feel stupid. Oh, you don't know that? Oh, I know that. People can sometimes just be rude about it. But God says he gives generously to all without finding fault.
Yeah.
And so I just love that. We can just boldly come and ask and say, I don't know what to do. And there was another thing I wanted to share that I couldn't believe. I looked at can you show a picture of the book that I was talking about this week? I guess the copyright on this is 2000. So it means it's been out for 25 years. And I have been able to tell this story for a long time from just reading it that once. It meant so much to me. So in the book, it's called Failing Forward. It's by John Maxwell. Mm-hmm. And I read this when it first came out because...
Expert on leadership.
Yep.
John Maxwell.
Leadership expert. He was just talking about the title of it is called Failing Forward.
Yep.
And up until that point in my life, I think I would have said that I was afraid to fail. I was afraid to try things that I might fail at because I guess I would just be embarrassed, probably. And so
Yep.
I just feel like part of wisdom and part of experience, how do you get experience? You try things, right?
Yeah. And sometimes failure can feel like it's going to be catastrophic.
Yeah. It's just
when
sometimes
it
your
almost
personality.
never is. But
So in this book, there was a story about an art teacher, and I want to read it to you real quick. It says, working artists David Bales and Ted Orland tell a story about an art teacher who did an experiment with his grading system for two groups of students. It is a parable on the benefits of failure. Here is what happened.
ooh, benefits of failure.
The ceramics teacher announced on opening day that he was dividing the class into two groups. All those on the left side of the studio, he said, would be graded solely on the quantity of work they produced. All those on the right solely on its quality. His procedure was simple. On the final day of class, he would bring in his bathroom scales and weigh the work of the quantity group, 50 pounds of pots rated an A, 40 pounds a B, and so on. Those graded on quality, however, needed to produce only one pot, albeit a perfect one, to get an A. Well, come grading time, a curious fact emerged. The works of the highest quality were all produced by the group being graded for quantity. It seems that while the quantity group was busy churning out piles of work and learning from their mistakes, the quality group had sat theorizing about perfection and in the end had little more to show for their efforts than grandiose theories and a pile of dead clay. And that story has just stuck with me for all these years. 25 years later, I just think, if you want to make the perfect clay pot, just get busy making pots.
Wow,
If
that's
you
good.
sit around trying to think about, oh, how could I do this perfectly? It's not going to be as good. So just to take that fear away, experience does probably include some failure, and it's okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah, experience always includes some failure, and we just have to learn from them. We talked about that in the last episode. Failure's okay. It's going to happen, but we just have to learn from it. So, and then I think as you go forward and you try things and some of them fail, sometimes failure is obvious. Sometimes you need some discernment to say, well, am I moving forward? Am I going sideways? Am I going backwards? And I don't even realize it. You know, some things are not as obvious as others. So I did look up discernment in the Bible. We had some wisdom passages. Here's one in 1 John 4:1. The Apostle John says, "Dear friends, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits to see whether they are from God, because many false prophets have gone out into the world." And so you're kind of back to the idea of not necessarily just believing everything that everybody says.
Yeah. Well, and one of the quotes on discernment says, discernment is the ability to see things for what they really are and not for what you want them to be.
That's a hard one sometimes.
It is.
Well, and I found one more. This one, both of those are, we don't know who said them, but with regards to people in your life, this one says, "We must learn who is gold and who is gold plated."
I like that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really good. Who is gold and who is gold plated?
What
Well,
do you think I am?
girl, you're pure gold.
All right.
Don't
Good
even
answer.
try.
Good answer. That's not even on the notes.
I don't need notes to know that. Pure gold. Well, calling back to the definition of wisdom, which is knowledge and good judgment based on experience. So you might be asking, well, how do I get wisdom and discernment without life experience? If you're, young adult, or if you're near the beginning of your life, and you're like, I don't have a lot of life experience. Or maybe you do have some life experience, but you feel like you struggle with wisdom and discernment, because a lot of us do. Well, we're going to keep kind of talking about this. We're going to wrap this episode up here before too much longer, but we're going to keep talking about these things, and I'll circle back to that in just a minute. But I was thinking the other day about, our smartphones. And if you have an app, you can go into the settings and you can turn on notifications so that you get more information from that app. Maybe, it depends on the app, but you just might want more information, or it might be helpful to you. You might want to know things up to the minute when they happen. And I was just thinking about how some apps I don't need. I don't need that. Don't bother me with all that unnecessary stuff. But there are some things you do want to know that are important. And I was thinking about how it's unfortunate that we don't have a switch inside us, like a discernment switch that we could just be like, oh, I didn't know I needed discernment so much. Let me just hang on. Let me just switch that over. And now I'm going to be more discerning. That would be great, but that's not, that's not really how it works. And usually discernment and wisdom come with experience. And so it's a process over time, but if you haven't realized that until now that you need it, you can start now. Or if you already knew it and you're working on it, just continue on that journey. But we're going to dig into some ways to be more discerning. One of the best ways to be more discerning is just to have a deeper understanding of truth and how to differentiate between truth and a lie, or truth and a near truth, which can be tricky. Wisdom and discernment are rooted in truth. They increase with experience, yes, but they're rooted in truth. And so the good news is our next episode is going to dig into truth. In fact, it's titled, How Do I Know What's True? And we're having a lot of fun doing this. We hope you're enjoying it, and we hope you'll join us for the next episode when we dig in and try to find out, how do I know what's true? Next time. See you here on the David and Hillary Show.
Was it too much over talking?